watching Canadian Muslim news on Muslim Network TV. From Toronto, Ontario, I'm Catherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. Today, a conversation with Laylo Atakhodjaeva about the community fridges they're installing to address food insecurity. But first, some news headlines. 2018 van attack survivor dies after 3 years in hospital. Teacher charged with assault for allegedly taping kindergartners to desks. Community gathers to support Afghan refugees in St. John's. Study shows 28 million years of life lost due to COVID. Bangladesh remove Islam as state religion. And now the details. A woman who was a victim of Toronto's van attack in 2018 died today. The attack left 65-year-old Amaresh Tesfamariam with substantial injuries, which were being treated in the hospital for 3 years until she passed away recently. This raises the death toll of the attack up to 18, with many more survivors still navigating injuries. Earlier this year, Alec Manassian was found guilty for 10 counts of murder and 16 counts of attempted murder after driving a van through a busy Toronto sidewalk in April 2018. His purpose was to kill as many people as possible. A teacher from the Waterloo region was charged with 2 counts of assault after she allegedly taped 2 children, one who was 5, to their desk. She then left them in a dark room unsupervised as a form of disciplinary punishment. Parents speaking to the Canadian-Pakistani narrative say that their son and the other student were targeted because they are people of colour. The parents also claimed that the teacher used this punishment multiple times in the past. As of now, the teacher has been placed on home assignment. The school board declined to comment as the case is before the court. Over 100 Afghan refugees have recently arrived in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. Since then, multiple community groups have come together to help the Afghans adjust to being in a new country. According to CBC News, Community Connections Coordinator Alice Cole said that people queued in line for the donation centre before it opened, an act that was never seen before. The Muslim Association of Newfoundland and Labrador also plans to offer services for education and training to assist the refugees settled in Canada. The International Brotherhood of Workers donated $30,000 to help sponsor refugee families. A study released by the medical BMJ journal showed that over 28 million years of life was lost in 2020. Led by Professor Nazrul Islam in the United Kingdom, the study looked at changes in life expectancies and years of life lost due to COVID-19 for 31 countries. Islam found that the United States and Russia saw the highest decline in life expectancy, mostly due to the increased amount of deaths for people younger than 65. Islam found that access to healthcare was a major determinant in the numbers. He suggested that the United States lost so many lives due to inadequate or unequal access to healthcare services. And Bangladesh's Minister for Information, Murad Hassan, said that Islam will no longer be the state religion. The country will revert to its original secular constitution of 1972, envisaged by founder Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. President Zia Rahman introduced Islam as the state religion in 1975, but the current government is ready to change that. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina Wazed called Bangladesh a secular country where people of all religions can live together. Hasina controls 280 of 300 seats in parliament, which was boycotted by opposition leaders. She is also a rival of opposition leader Khalida Zia, whose husband had introduced Islam as the state religion. That's it for the news. And now our interview with Laylo Atakhodjaeva, president of Road to Zero Waste, about the community fridges they're installing to help address food insecurity. Welcome to the show. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you doing?
Nice to see you. Nice to have you with us today.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting.
It's our pleasure. What you're doing is very important work, and we wanted to share with the community. So we'll we'll talk about that today. So you have this organization called Road to Zero Waste, where you've been trying to help the community cut down on waste. Tell us about the project, what you're doing.
Well, we started this grassroots organization in 2017. And we started from collecting surplus food items and distributing among homeless population. And after that, we decided to expand it and implement community fridges project. And we were the first in Toronto to open community fridges. And currently we have about 8 community fridges all across GTA in impoverished neighborhoods, let's say underprivileged neighborhoods. So a lot of people are enjoying our surplus, good, nutritious food. Alhamdulillah.
So when I was in high school, I remember hearing about I can't remember if it was World War II or something, and there was a problem with the grains getting into port, and they just dumped all this food into the ocean, and I was horrified. And then you go to restaurants and you see all the food that gets wasted, but I just look at it and say, oh, that's terrible. You're someone who looked at it and then decided to do something about it. Can you tell us what motivated you? Like, what's the drive there?
Yeah, when I first looked in the grocery aisles, reduced food item section, I said, what all that food is doing there? So what's going to happen to that food? And then I researched what happens to all the good surplus food in Canada, and I was blown away because 58% of surplus food is dumped into the dumpsters and then on landfills. So, and it's creating so much methane gas and polluting our environment. And I was just blown away. As a Muslim, we cannot just let that happen. And at the same time, it's everybody's obligation to take care of the environment that we all breathe in. And we had to do something. And when I looked into community fridges, it was one of the best projects to tackle food waste and at the same time poverty or lack of nutrition in Canada among underprivileged population. So I said, with one shot, we could do two things. And Alhamdulillah, so far, we've been able to feed hundreds of needy families with the surplus nutritious food, and at the same time save so much methane gas into going to landfills and polluting the environment. And hopefully we'll continue doing that.
So what's a community fridge? I mean, I had never heard of that until I heard about your organization.
Community fridges have been very successful in other parts of the world as well, in Europe, in India, in other parts. And it is a simple model where people donate surplus food items into the fridge where, a lot of people would come in and then enjoy that surplus food from the community fridges. But ours is a little bit different. In other parts of the world, people purchase food and then they place sometimes, but ours is only based on surplus food items that come from retail stores, that come from food chains. And we have designated volunteers to pick up those nutritious surplus food items and place into our community fridges. And we have special guidelines that we run by, and it's totally safe. We audit the food every 2 days, and our volunteers are very dedicated. And we do not allow public people from the public to place any food items into our community fridges unless it's just fruit or like produce items.
Well, how do you do that? How are you monitoring to make sure that some nasty person doesn't open the fridge and put poison food inside?
So we have our volunteers all the time around the clock who monitor. We have designated volunteers for every location of the fridge. Most of the fridges are located inside the vicinities where we have cameras and people are monitoring them. Our volunteers are monitoring as well. And also we audit the food, whichever food is not fit according to our guidelines, we throw them out. And we only place the food that we bring from our reputable food chains.
So how did COVID affect that?
Well, prior to COVID, we used to place cooked food items as well from restaurants. We had special containers and we label them. We'll like monitor the cooked food items really like neatly. But then after COVID, we decided not to place any cooked food items, only packaged foods or baked goods or like non-perishables or produce items are allowed at the moment. Hopefully, after COVID comes down, we could go back to placing cooked food items as well, because there's a lot of wastage that happens in restaurants.
Right, there is a lot of waste. This is all. I guess there's a lot of trust involved. The volunteers are trusting what they pick up. You're trusting the people who are monitoring, and then you're trusting people to come and just take what they need. How do you stop someone from opening the fridge and taking everything?
Well, in the past, there have been those situations, but then we started placing our fridges inside the masajid, inside vicinities, or in places where there's cameras. And our volunteers, whenever they see something like that happening, they stop people, or we write on our fridges saying, "Take what you need, leave the rest for others." I mean, honestly, it hasn't been that often. Only in one of our fridges it happened, and we removed that fridge from that location and we placed in other locations. Now, alhamdulillah, we don't see that kind of thing happening at the moment. There was only in one neighborhood that happened but now, alhamdulillah, that's not an issue. And also, we get food from very high quality food chains like Longo's, like Starbucks, and Second Harvest supplies us with all kinds of Walmart, Costco food items. So they are from high quality food chains, and the food items are, half of them are organic and half are like very high quality food items. So I don't see why would anybody would have lack of trust, because everything is packaged and everything has the name on it. So there has never been any trust issue so far. And
That's good to know, alhamdulillah. The stores that you've approached, were the people you approached sort of like, oh my goodness, community fridge, what's that? Or it's something they're already aware of and they're eager to cooperate? What kind of pushback or resistance or support are you getting from the chains?
In the beginning, it was not easy. We had to go multiple times to big grocery food chains. But because we have, alhamdulillah, this Canada Food Donors Act, where donors are protected by our law, that they're not liable. So that's the reason, if they're given good faith, of course. So that's the reason they were able to give. Their surplus food donations. At the same time, we give them at the end we give them how much food they were able to save by donating, and how many people have been fed by that food that they donated, instead of them throwing them out. And we educate people, the grocery chains management team or others, that it's extremely detrimental to the Canadian
Do you
Canadian
have those
economy.
statistics in mind? Do you have any of those statistics in mind? Like how much food was saved, how many people?
Oh yeah, we ourselves, like, it was close to 82 thousand tons of food so far we've saved. And how many tons of methane gas right now, I don't remember for this year because we have new numbers.
Mm,
But we have like huge numbers. Like, we were able to save so much methane gas from being excreted on landfills and polluting our environment. And so many hungry families. Like, if one fridge could feed per week about 40 people, 40 families, I mean, you could count like how many fridges we have now, 8 fridges. So we could say like few hundred people we are able to feed uh,
right,
yeah,
right.
per week. Yeah, it's going great, and a lot of them are immigrants or homeless. New immigrants, when they come, they excrete all of their last resources to come, and until the papers kick in, they have this in between gap where they cannot get nutritious food at all.
And do
So
people, have you noticed people being shy? Like I might be shy to go into a mosque and open a fridge and take out food.
When you're in desperate need, maybe not, because you see, it's in the corner and it's like at your own pace. You take whenever you can. So we haven't seen that, but I mean, we've only heard a lot of duas, a lot of prayers from people saying that's been amazing. It's been helping, and a lot of our volunteers have heard many nice prayers from our consumers.
Right. So we have to wrap it up. But if somebody wants to volunteer or donate, how do they do that?
First of all, I would like to thank our beautiful volunteers for such hard work they've been doing. And also, they could, if they want to volunteer, they could fill out our forms on our website at www at roadtozerowaste.org. And they can message us anytime as well. We have all the contact information there.
Great. Well, thank you for doing this, for taking the initiative to go beyond the oh my God, we shouldn't be throwing the food, and actually doing something about it. We commend you, and we hope that you reach the people in need. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for hosting us. Thank you.
That's it from us. You've been watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Stay tuned for the next episode. Stay safe and God bless.